Excel pivot tables let you analyze your data effectively. They're also great for presentations, which means that you need to pay attention to formatting. In this movie, I will show you how to apply and manage existing pivot table styles. I will use the Apply Style sample file, which you can find in the Chapter 4 folder of your exercise files archive. This pivot table has the bare minimum of formatting applied to it. The format doesn't use any color, and you can also see that there are only thin border lines between the labels and the data. If I want to change the style that's applied, all I need to do is click any cell in the pivot table, and then click the Design Contextual tab on the ribbon. The Design Contextual tab has a gallery in the Pivot Table Styles group. You can see the first 7 styles here in the ribbon. If you want to display the entire gallery, then click the More button, which is here at the bottom right corner of the in-ribbon gallery, and you get a scrollable list which contains all of the styles available to you. If I want to apply a style, all I need to do is click it, and in this case, I'll click Pivot Style Light 1. Doing so applies it to the body of the pivot table. Now, you probably didn't see much of a difference, but what happened was that the labels are now formatted in bold. There is one other change that I can make, and that is to apply banding. Banding is when you have a different color for alternate rows. For example, the first row might be light, and the second row would be darker, say perhaps with a gray. So with my style selected, and again on the Design Contextual tab of the ribbon, I'll go to the Pivot Table Style Options group and click Banded Rows. Doing so applies banding, which makes it easier to distinguish between the data in the odd and even rows within the body of the pivot table. If your style also allows banded columns, then you can check that box. So for example, I'll clear the banded rows checkbox and click banded columns. And when I do that, all of the odd numbered columns are now colored with the darker color, and all of the even numbered columns are left blank, so they just have no coloring whatsoever. If you select both of them at the same time, then you get a crosshatch pattern. I personally find this much formatting to be confusing, and if I'm going to use banding at all, I'll do either banded rows or banded columns, and most of the time I stay with banded rows and read the columns as best as I can. And that is how you apply and manage existing pivot table styles. Of course, if you don't find a style that's exactly what you want, you can always create your own.